It's a pleasure to be here in Mount Vernon at the Dole Center, and I want to thank the City of Mount Vernon and Mayor Sean Patterson, as well as the Dole Center staff for allowing us to be here and do this big celebration. Today we're joined by Acting Deputy Commissioner of Child Welfare and Community Services, Gail Gohagan Pratt. Give her a hand of applause. We also have representatives from CGIR, YRI, Redlick Horowitz, and these are the organizations behind this innovative pilot. You'll be hearing from each of them in a moment. But before we begin, I want to say how appreciative I am to the City of Mount Vernon for allowing us to be here today and for Westchester to be selected for this pilot. This means so much to the community, and it means a lot to people who are suffering from the ills of poverty. Now, we know poverty is a powerful factor that gives families troubles and makes it hard for them to make it forward, and really causes a lot of them to wind up going through our child welfare system. And we also know that the causes of poverty are complex and they can't be solved very easily. It seems like an unsolvable problem at times, but for me, I believe where there's a will, there's a way, and innovative pilots like this reflect that will, to do something different, to give people a chance to find their way out of poverty and maybe balance out their family lifestyle so that we don't see them coming through our system. I'm just grateful to be a part of this event today. I'm grateful to OCFS to really making a decision to do something innovative like this, because this pilot shows the kind of leadership we need in today's society to go outside the box in addressing problems and do things that are innovative and creative to give people a chance and take a chance on giving people an opportunity. So with that being said, I want to bring up Deputy Commissioner Gail Gohagan Pratt. She's the Deputy Commissioner of Child Welfare and Community Services. She's going to speak a little bit right now.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Commissioner Towns, for that warm welcome, and I echo his greetings and his appreciation for hosting us here today to be able to talk about our direct cash transfer pilot. So before we begin, I just want to be able to make sure that we acknowledge folks who have really played an important part in being able to be here today in regards to this momentous occasion. First, I would like to recognize Acting Commissioner Suzanne Miles Gustav, who unfortunately is not able to be here physically, but please know that she is definitely here in spirit and is as excited about this pilot as we all are in terms of moving forward. We want to thank her for her leadership in guiding OCFS and its North Star in bringing greater equity in the work that we do to strengthen New York's children and families through the upstream prevention services like the one we are celebrating here today with the direct cash transfer pilot. I really want to recognize the number of staff in the Child Welfare Division at OCFS who have been an integral part in bringing us here today. So really want to be able to extend thanks to them. As well, there are a number of partners that was an integral part of getting us here today, and we would not be here without them. I want to recognize Mayor Sean Patterson Howard of Mount Vernon. Thank you for your support of this. You've already met Commissioner Leonard Towns. I want to say that he has been an enthusiastic partner along with John Beefus from Westchester County DSS. Also want to recognize the Executive Director, Shara Childs with Redlick Horowitz Foundation. They have been an integral partner, especially in terms of providing part of the fiscal supports for the public-private partnership in order for us to be able to move forward with the pilot. Our partners at Youth Research, Inc., also an integral part, and you'll be hearing from the Executive Director, Cassie Postlenik. They are actually the ones that are doing the groundwork in terms of the onboarding and the case management of the program. So look forward, really appreciate them being here as well. Also, you know, as we talk about who we are really looking to support, we're talking about the children's and families, and we're talking about families and lived voice and experience. And so we have Raylyn Williams, who is one of our family policy advisors at OCFS, and we're excited to hear her remarks in regards to the pilot program, and she'll be sharing that momentarily. We also could not do this without our state partners, and so we have the Office of Temporary Disabilities Assistance, OTDA, who were also integral thought partners, and also in terms of waiver supports in order to move the program forward. It's really important as we do this work that there is systems collaboration, recognizing that our families touch multiple systems, and so collectively we need to work together, and so we thank OTDA for their partnership. Additionally, want to thank Kerry Leland-Megley, who is with the Family Ties of Westchester, and she'll also be speaking, again, lifting up the family and community voice as to why programs such as the direct cash transfer and universal basic income pilots are such an integral part as we look at how to be able to continue to support children and families for improved outcomes. I'd also like to extend a welcome to Annie Willis, who is here representing Senator Stuart Cousins' office, as well as Senator Shelley Mayer. Again, thank you all for being here and lending your support to this important project. Last, but by no means least, we really want to say thank you to the over 450 families who are participating in this program. Without their participation, we would not be able to move forward. So really just want to acknowledge their participation in being able to move this forward. All right, that's usually the hardest part for me. So we got that out of the way. All right, I just want to say how excited we are to be here today and to be able to say that we have actually launched. Not that we are launching, not that we are planning, but that we have actually launched. We are so excited. This has been over a year and a half, maybe even closer to 2 years of really hard work to get here. It was part of when we put forward our Family First Prevention Plan, and we really had a vision for systems transformation that was really embedded in looking at how do we really transfer our services and programs in a much more upstream fashion, and how we really incorporate economic and concrete supports for families. Because at the end of the day, there is a recognition that poverty is one of the driving factors when it pertains to families interfacing with the child welfare door, and there should not be a direct correlation between poverty and neglect. They do not equate, but we do recognize that there is a need for families, and so the more that we are able to strengthen our supports and how we are able to deliver those resources, then that is the goal in terms of narrowing the front door and limiting the number of families coming in, so that for the State Central Registry, it is really focused on those families where unfortunately abuse and maltreatment occur, but not because families need supports and resources. We have to find other ways to be able to do that, and that's part of the reason why we're doing the direct cash transfer pilot. Working with our partners, how could I forget Center for Guaranteed Income Research? They are such a, see, that is why I do not like that first part. It's like, no, I always forget someone. Dr. Frank Edwards, I am so sorry, but the Center for Guaranteed Income Research, we could not do this without them. They are our research partner. They are the ones that are going to be gathering the results, the evaluation from the families that are participating, and putting together a report at the end of this pilot that is going to compile the information in terms of what do we see as a result of families receiving this additional stipend and their future interaction with child welfare. We know that there is already research that shows that even a modicum of additional economic supports narrows the number of families entering into the child welfare system. And so that's why we wanted to be very focused in terms of the randomized controlled trial and the parameters in which we have established for this research. So thank you to CGIAR for your partnership in this as well. So let me provide a little bit of details about the pilot itself. So as I mentioned, there's 450 families that are participating. There are 150 families that are going to be in the treatment group, For those families that are in the treatment group, they're going to receive $500 a month for 12 months for a total of $6,000 at the end of the pilot. We also have 300 families that are going to be in the control group. While they will not receive the stipend, they will be compensated throughout the course of the 12 months by completion of surveys. We really wanted to be attentive to what is called the benefits cliff. We know that from other universal basic income pilots that is a potential risk for participants, that they might it might impact benefits that they might be receiving. So there was a lot of work and time that was spent in gathering information in terms of what are the eligibility criteria as it pertains to the receipt of certain benefits, and what are the ways that we might be able to mitigate any loss. With that, we make sure that with our partners at YRI that there is benefits counseling that the families will receive, because we want to make sure that there is informed decision making for folks who decide whether or not they think that it really is a benefit for them to participate in the pilot. We've also established a hold harmless fund, so in the course of event that someone might suffer a loss of benefit, we do have the capacity to mitigate those losses and to make them whole. Because again, participation in this, we don't want there to be a negative impact. We really want to make sure at the end of the day that this is something that does benefit for those who participate. So we're really excited about this. I hope you can feel the excitement as we're talking about this. We really feel very strongly that when we look at the supports and resources for children and families, we have to be comprehensive. You know, we talk about preventive services and, you know, being able to provide therapies and counseling, and they have their space as well. But there's something to be said about being able to provide a minimum degree of care and being able to put food on the table, being able to provide a roof over the head and clothes on backs. And that comes down to being able to have the resources to do that. And so as we move forward, I think, you know, comprehensively, that is what we are striving for. We want to be able to create a system where all needs, inclusive of economic and concrete supports, as well as those that pertain to behavioral health, that we're building a system that comprehensively meets those needs. So, excited to see how our direct cash transfer pilot can help to support that movement as we continue to advocate, both on a state and a federal level. So, with that said, I'm going to welcome back Commissioner Towns to the mic to be able to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. So some might ask the question, why would a pilot be needed in a county like Westchester? Because it's so wealthy. But here in Westchester, poverty exists too, and sometimes these people are marginalized and not seen because of the wealth of the community. But when you think about the cost of living here for someone who doesn't have much money, that can put immense pressure on the families and cause problems within the family dynamic, which leads to child welfare situations at times. So our goal, as Commissioner Goeg and Pratt was saying, is to enforce the families, provide them with what they need to remain stable. And it takes hard work, it takes a commitment, but these types of programs and pilots are what we need to make those types of things happen. And to speak to the needs of families and the importance of this pilot, I'm going to bring up a good friend of the Department of Social Services, Ms. Carrie Wayland Megley. She's the Executive Director of Family Ties Westchester, and she's going to say a few words before we get into the nitty-gritty of the program. Come on up, Carrie.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Executive Director of Family Ties of Westchester. We are the Mid-Hudson's region's only independent, open access, family peer support organization. And it's an incredible honor to be here with my colleagues from the Department of Social Services, as well as our guests from OCFS, Redlick Horowitz Foundation, and YRI for this exciting initiative in the rollout. Thanks to Westchester County's strong system of care framework and our ongoing collaboration with the County Departments of Social Services, Community Mental Health, Youth Bureaus, school districts, clinics, and other community partners, our family peer advocates, some who are here today, have been on the front lines for close to 30 years, lifting up family voice, building community, connecting youth and caregivers to crucial resources, and strengthening the natural resilience of families affected by trauma, unmet mental health and behavioral health needs and other complex life challenges. I think everyone in this room who is a parent or who has raised children or is still raising children would agree that parenting is one of the most challenging jobs we'll ever have, even under the best of circumstances. And I don't think any of us would consider right here, right now, the best of circumstances. And further, as was mentioned by Commissioner Towns, I'm pretty sure that those of you who live in Westchester County would agree that it's not an easy place to make ends meet, even when you're working as a professional. And I include myself in that category. In fact, as mentioned, despite being identified as one of the most prosperous counties in the entire country, fully 40% of our neighbors are living paycheck to paycheck and struggle with economic hardship. That's why the state's focus on family well-being and research projects like this are so important. For those of you that don't know me, I'm very passionate about our programming and our perspective as a family advocacy organization. I'm also a little OCD. And so believe it or not, I actually review every single referral that comes into our organization. And that's hundreds of referrals every year. As a parent with my own lived experience navigating the complexity of our behavioral health system on behalf of my own children, I also fully recognize the privilege that I have based on the color of my skin, my education, and my access to financial resources. And so with that in mind, I cannot help but have deep empathy for the caregivers that we partner with, who for the most part are not nearly as fortunate. So imagine, if you will, having to figure out month after month how to keep a roof over your head and put food on the table at the same time. Choose between diapers or daycare, pay for treatment, medication, transportation, decide between clean clothes or after-school programming, having access to school supplies, new shoes, or winter coats when our children have outgrown their old ones. And finally, thinking about how do I cover the Con Ed bill and the food bill at the same time. These are the stories that we hear every day from the caregivers and young people who come to us for support. The toxic stress from these accumulated experiences ripples outwards, unleashing negative consequences that impact family members and communities across generations, increasing a caregiver's sense of isolation and disenfranchisement, decreasing their sense of their own self-efficacy in caring for their families, and making it harder for them to access the supports that they've identified as necessary to meet their own children's unique developmental needs. These, as we know, are the very risk factors that increase a family's chance of coming to the attention of the child welfare system. So we're very proud here in Westchester County for our cross-system collaboration. And we know that and implementation of evidence-based practices are crucial components to our systems transformation efforts. But if we ignore the underlying issues of poverty, racial, and economic disparity, we'll continue to miss the boat. It's only by listening to what parents and young people tell us what they need, and by bringing family members and community partners to the table as authentic partners that we will be able to achieve the safety, permanency, and well-being goals that we seek for all children. So we're very excited to be here, and we're thrilled to support this initiative as it rolls out and to continue identifying opportunities for Family Voice to inform the process. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie. We have a lot of people in high places here today, a lot of executives and a lot of executive directors of programs who do the work, but when you do projects like this, you need to hear from people who have lived experience. So our next speaker I'm going to invite up is someone who is working with OCFS at this time. She's the Family Policy Advisor, and she's going to speak to why this helps families and why this can be a benefit to them. So Ms. Raylan Williams, would you please come up, please?
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raleigh Williams, and I'm a Family Policy Advisor at a regional office in Westchester County. First, I would like to state that OCS is making great strides, bridging the gap between families and OCFS. standing here. I'm standing here in a position that was created for people like me with lived experience. And I can tell you that being heard, not just on behalf of myself, but on the behalf of families, that being heard is huge. As a family policy advisor, I work closely with OCFS to incorporate family voices into policies and practice. This is such an exciting program. I am ecstatic about this program. It's huge. And I share this excitement with a lot of families. I look firsthand and focus on my experience with this direct cash policy. And at first, when I first reviewed it, I wasn't all that excited about it. I had questions. But OCFS, they gave me answers. I read the policy again. And I stepped back and I read it again. So it took me some time. But then I got excited. Then I got ecstatic, right? I realized that reporting to OCFS how this policy should look from my standpoint, not just theirs, but mine, and everybody out there who lives this, right? It was huge. OCFS has realized that bridging the gap and working with parents and families is a great deal. And I'm excited, and they're excited, and we're gonna make this work. OCFS has realized the family does not equate to supporting of family and programs, solidifies that OCF is not just seeing the need to assist family, but they are putting it into action. What does that mean? Putting it into action. I don't know what it looks like for some, but I know what it looks like for a lot of people out there. I heard someone up here speak about paying rent or buying food. Staying in a domestic violence situation or walking away. That $500 is huge in that situation. The program will not only assist families with monetary support because of poverty, does not mean that the family is not capable. Because of poverty, it doesn't mean that the family is incapable of taking care of themselves. Just means that they have great potential. And OCFS sees this. They see that they can take care of their kids, they just need a little extra. They need the support that they are now going to give to these families. This program has great potential, extending assistance to the community and hopefully further out. Hopefully, other states will mimic what we're doing. If I could be a voice, I will get out there and advocate for it. My perspective on this program has truly shifted. As I stated, I wasn't for it at first. I didn't see how it would help, but I do now. And OCFS, I am so proud of you guys. And the parent advisors and the parent advocates that were out there advocating for this, I'm ecstatic and truly proud of you guys. I can say we did something and be proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you for getting to the heart of the matter and putting a face to this, because sometimes we can talk, but when we don't hear from people who had lived experience, we don't truly understand. And I want to thank you again for just coming up and putting your heart out there and sharing how important this is. And so next up, it's time we get into the nuts and bolts behind this program. We have the Brain Trust with us here, and we got a team of great people with us. And I'm going to start off with a gentleman from CGIAR. He's the lead investigator. His name is Dr. Frank Edwards, and he's going to give us some background on the process. Come on up.
Everybody. Very pleased to be here representing the Center for Guaranteed Income Research team. I am Frank Edwards, Assistant Professor at the School of Criminal Justice at Rutgers, and along with my colleague Zoe Buchel from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Stacia West at the University of Pennsylvania, and Amy Castro at the University of Pennsylvania, we're very, very pleased to be collaborating with the state and with OCFS on this project. This study will be the first of its kind to look at the impact of a guaranteed income in the context of a randomized controlled trial for the population of people that have prior involvement with the child welfare system, with the hopes that we can learn precisely how much of a nudge this program and these kinds of supports can provide to avoid re-referrals with the system. That's the primary thing we're after, but we're also really interested in understanding how these guaranteed incomes smooth the process of poverty, right? Poverty comes with all kinds of shocks, comes with all kinds of instability and uncertainty and stress. And we want to examine how these kinds of programs can smooth out those kinds of routine crises and routine stressors for families and kids. So 1 in 7 children in the US are poor, right? And 1 in 20 get investigated by CPS annually. And we know that for Black kids and Indigenous kids, those rates are way, way higher. In the US, about 1 in 2 Black kids are investigated by CPS by the time they turn 18. For Native kids, it's about 30% of them are investigated by the time they turn 18. And these are incredibly high rates. Now, as Commissioner Towns reminded us, poverty and CPS contact are closely related. A majority of the referrals to CPS nationally, to child welfare hotlines, cite neglect as their primary concern. And what we call neglect is very often a direct function of poverty. Either it's a direct consequence of poverty or it's a sort of second-order consequence of poverty, right? When rent is sky high and child costs are too, poor families face incredibly difficult trade-offs that can result in a CPS referral. And this is fundamentally a policy failure. We've currently got a set of systems that too often treat poverty as a personal failure rather than a deep structural problem. And guaranteed income is likely to help solve the problems of child and family crisis associated with poverty in 2 ways. The research suggests there are 2 pathways that we can really expect a guaranteed income to help out the families we're going to be working with in New York and Westchester and 2 other counties as well. The first pathway is a structural one, right? So $500 a month can help you pay rent. It can help you pay those bills that you're worried about. It can help alleviate those difficult choices that can result in inadequate supervision for a child that may trigger a referral. It can help you avoid housing insecurity that may result in a referral. All of these things that are just direct functions of poverty. The second is a kind of biosocial pathway that we already heard people talk about, the kind of toxic stress that is deeply tied to poverty. When you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, where you don't know if you're going to have enough income to pay that power bill, the kinds of insecurity and chronic stresses that produce have been shown to have a whole host of negative health outcomes, both for parents and for kids. So first, the best way to address poverty, right, is through income supports, this kind of structural pathway. In a broad array of rigorous studies, additional income has been proven to dramatically improve outcomes for kids and families in poverty. Parents and caretakers can avoid evictions, pay for high-quality childcare, and, as Ms. Williams reminded us, escape abusive environments when they have access to those adequate resources. Second, a guaranteed income, that is, an income that is not conditional on parental behavior in any way, right? This is just guaranteed. They don't have to do anything other than enroll in the program. A lot of our welfare programs in the United States are conditional on routine supervision and surveillance, but this is a guaranteed income, and that smooths out so much of the stress, and it also provides parents with a sense of dignity and autonomy, right? They're able to make their own choices about what's best for their family. A lot of times our programs don't allow them to do that. Typical programs delivered through CPS come with the threat of child removal and services and investigations that parents and children might find invasive. But this pilot study trusts parents to make their own choices for their families. That stability and autonomy is very, very likely to reduce the kinds of chronic stresses that research has clearly shown to impact kids and families. So it's our hope that the evidence from the pilot can provide an evidence-based foundation to dramatically shift how we think about interventions for kids and families in crisis. Research suggests that income-first approaches have the promise to be both more effective at improving child safety and at improving the long-term stability of their families. And we sincerely hope and are very grateful for the opportunity to help build that research foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards, for talking about the importance of research and how that helps us have a vision for how we need to move forward. You know, in society, we can be quick to point fingers at people without recognizing what they've been through. And the issue that I want to put out there is it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. We have to understand people have been challenged, been through many hard struggles in their life. Many of the families that we serve in child welfare and temporary assistance have been children that come through our system and they grow into adults and they still need the help. And that speaks to our problem as a society about how we're helping people along the way and how we have to understand how important it is to give children a chance to break that cycle. And that comes through putting in supports to help the family to stabilize the family life. And I'm going to bring up someone now to speak to the importance of working with children. I'm going to bring up the YRI Executive Director, Ms. Cassie Postilna, to speak to that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here in partnership with OCFS and all of the other really important project partners. I don't want to repeat all of the really important points that everyone else has made about why this project is so critical and timely. And I'll just quickly outline for you what YRI's role in this project is. We are the project administrator. We will be working directly with the families in the treatment group to provide benefits counseling, answer any questions along the way, make sure that they feel supported throughout the 12-month process. We are just now in the process of onboarding those 150 families, including 50 here in Westchester. Very excited to get that project started. And throughout the process, we will have staff available to answer any questions, address any issues if they arise, and really also make sure that families are aware of the Hold Harmless Fund that Deputy Commissioner mentioned, to ensure that they know and are aware of any potential impact that this project could have on benefits that they currently access, and to ensure that they are reimbursed or compensated for any impact. We are very, very much working in tandem with OCFS and the rest of our partners in this project to ensure that we continue to move in the direction of implementing prevention services and really prioritizing how we support families before they even enter the child welfare system. Happy to be part of the project. Thank you so much for your time.
So I'm going to speak to Redlick Horowitz. They've been a partner of us in this work for many, many years, and they understand the needs of families, and they've been very supportive of our department, so I'm very thankful that they're here today. And today we have Sarah Childs. She's the Executive Director, and she's going to come up and speak to why we need to invest in DCT. Come on up, Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Childs. I'm the Executive Director of the Redlick Horowitz Foundation. I'm really grateful to be here and just honored to be able to invest and support this truly innovative program. Want to just extend my thank you and our foundation's thank you to the leadership at OCFS for turning this vision, this very innovative vision, into a reality, to leadership in Westchester, and I also see that our great mayor here is here as well, and we're very grateful for your support and enthusiasm. And also extend gratitude to the staff at OCFS, YRI, CGIR, and all the partners who have really worked tirelessly to bring this program to fruition. When we got started with this a couple of years ago, we had no idea how hard it was going to be to just give cash to families. But as every hurdle has presented itself, staff have come together to really problem solve and move past that to do what's right for families. I also really want to thank Ms. Williams for your energy, your positivity, your enthusiasm, your excitement. I absolutely concur that I think everyone in this room is truly ecstatic about this program, and your endorsement and other parents like you is what's most important here, that you have told us that this is what families and parents and children really need and want. They just need a little bit of cash assistance to get over those hurdles that we've been hearing so much about today. You've heard from others today, and I don't want to be repetitive, about the tremendous evidence base for this work and for this pilot. We know from similar pilots across the country that when parents are given just a little bit of extra cash, they can overcome those small hurdles that can completely disrupt and throw their family off the right track. We know at Redlick Horowitz Foundation that our paramount goal for the state of New York, for OCFS, for all of us, is to keep families together. Children always do best with their parents, raised by their loving parents. But often, we know poverty can drive families in touch with the child welfare system. And as much as we have dedicated workers in our system working hard for the benefit of families, experience in the child welfare system is often full of emotional distress and trauma for children and families. We know that mandated reporters across our state, teachers, healthcare workers, and others, are calling our state central registry, reporting families because they believe there may be cases of maltreatment, when we know that many of those calls are driven by poverty, by a lack of access to food, to clothing, to safe housing. And we believe and know from the evidence that having just a little bit more cash in their pockets will be spent on meeting these critical basic needs by families. We want to really take this opportunity to show all New Yorkers that if we offer cash assistance rather than suspicion or CPS investigations that, as we know, can be very traumatic to families, that the cash can really serve as a stabilizing force for families. And furthermore, we really believe that this approach to supporting families, to moving upstream, to meeting family needs before they become major crises, that this can be a real public cost savings because it reduces the need for deeper involvement in the foster care system. This is a win-win for families and taxpayers. We truly expect this pilot's research to provide further evidence for the powerful impact of a very small investment, just $6,000 per family over the course of 1 year, and will show these cost savings for the state. We can support families upstream, and families will be able to better provide for their children and prevent the need for more costly system involvement. And oftentimes, what we can provide as a system in terms of therapeutic clinical services are not actually meeting the needs of what families truly need to be stable. These services can sometimes cost as much as $60,000 per family if a child is removed into foster care. So it's $6,000 versus $60,000 for taxpayers in terms of savings. That's 10 times the cost of serving a family in this program. We know that for children separated from their families by foster care, they experience significantly deep emotional harm and trauma, and that further burdens and stresses our mental health care system. So, together with OCFS, our researcher friends from CGIAR, colleagues in Westchester County, we really hope to be able to make this case to our colleagues in the federal administration. We know that they have expressed significant support for this type of upstream investment, and we hope to move quickly to allow federal dollars to be used for this type of direct cash assistance as a child welfare prevention strategy under the Family First Prevention Services Act. We are really looking forward to making that case together with our partners here, and we are sure then that we can keep many more families together and thriving. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker needs no introduction here in Mount Vernon. She's been a champion for many years before becoming mayor of Mount Vernon. She's fought hard for whatever work she was doing. I worked with her in Yonkers, fighting for people there. I've seen her come and hit the streets of Mount Vernon to turn this city around, and she's done an amazing job just inspiring the people of the community and building up a vision and a direction for Mount Vernon that have an awesome, amazing, bright future. And there's not much you can say about what she doesn't want to do, but she wants to do it all. She expresses so much love for her community, and it's been a pleasure knowing her and working with her, and I'm just so excited that she has a chance to be the city that leads this and has the kickoff here, and I want to have her come up and say some amazing words because she always has something great to say because she's got a heart of love. Everyone, let me introduce the mayor of Mount Vernon, Shawn Patterson Howard.
Hi, Commish. So this is something that is so personally important to me that while I am off today, I said I would stop by because I wanted to make sure that I support this. So direct cash transfers really allows families to remain dignity while seeking help. Oftentimes we force families when they need help to continuously tell their poverty story over and over again. I'm struggling. I can't pay for after school. I'm struggling with my housing. I'm struggling with food. I don't have proper transportation. I have to work overtime, which oftentimes puts my children at risk because they have to stay home. But at the same time, if they didn't work overtime and sometimes leave children at home, then they would be kicked out of housing and land up in shelters, and their children would still be at risk for sometimes being taken. So it is a very, very vicious cycle. And direct cash transfers, as Martin Luther King said many, many years ago, that cash is the currency of urgency. As a social worker for over 30 years, I understand the interrelatedness of poverty and being not just poverty, but even the working class poor, and its interaction and interface with the human services system. And it is one that oftentimes becomes daunting and overwhelming. And so back in May, June of 2020, when we saw Michael Tubbs out of Stockton, California, launch a Mayors for Guaranteed Income pilot, Mount Vernon jumped on immediately because we wanted to make sure in Mount Vernon that we were creating a dignity economy. And at this time, here in Mount Vernon, we are pleased to report that we have 200 families that are currently receiving $500 a month in direct cash income through the Mayors for Guaranteed Income program. And I can tell you that as we look at the research and, because they receive cards, like a ATM card. And we're able to see they're not spending it on things that are frivolous. They're using it for rent. They're using it for food, transportation, child care, medical care. things that allow them to take care of their children. And so having been a social worker, I guess I'm still a social worker, right? Always a social worker. Understanding the CPS system and the MPS system, when we provide this direct financial assistance to families who have engaged in getting this support, then that can make a world of difference to our families. And that's what we want to do. We want to stop putting on Band-Aids. And so here in the city of Mount Vernon, our guaranteed income program is called Level Up, because that's what we are looking for the families to do. We're looking for them and helping them to level up. And so some people have used their $500 a month or $6,000 a year to take classes so that they can increase their skills and their bandwidth to get higher paying jobs, because it will end at the end of a year. And we want to make sure at the end of the year that they find a way to supplement this income. Some have said, I'm going to get a hoopty, something that gets me from here to there, so I don't have to take 3 or 4 buses, which takes an extra 2 to 3 hours a day easily from their children. And we also have to give them the ability to go out to Applebee's or whatever restaurant they want to go to from time to time, because when you're working and you're taking care of your children, it is hard to continuously work and not be able to spend quality leisure time with your family. And I know this for myself because I was raised by a single mother who had great support from our larger family, but I watched her every other week on a Friday come home with her Manny-Hanny, her manufacturer's Hanover envelope, because back then they cashed their checks. And she came home with cash and she put it out in piles. This was for rent, this was for food, this was for clothing, this was for leisure, this was for medical. And she would look at it and she would say no. And she would move the money around, and she would move the money from pile to pile. And moving the money from pile to pile did not increase the amount of money that she had to pay bills. She just had to figure out, okay, if I don't pay the light bill this month, then I can make sure the rent is paid. If I don't pay the rent this month, then Con Ed is covered. And we have to stop families from living like that. It really tears down their mental and their emotional strength. It causes them to make decisions that puts their housing, their food, their lights, their utilities at risk, and as you've already stated here, puts the children at risk for being reported. And so I want to definitely congratulate OCFS and Westchester County Department of Social Services and all those who have advocated for this to come here. I did have an opportunity to go with Mayor Tubbs and Mayor Carter and several of us to the White House, and we are asking that the White House really release federal funds to be able to be used for these type of income pilot programs. And on the state level, that the state level allow these funds to supplement and not replace income. Because when you're on DSS and when you're on Section 8, this income helps you to get off those programs, but when you take it away, it leaves you at a net zero place. So we have to find a way to create coordination of services and supplementing of income and not just replacement of income so we can use it somewhere else. So again, congratulations. I look forward to hearing more stories of families who are receiving this benefit because this is one of the greatest, I guess, innovations that we've seen in a long time. We've paid landlords for a long time and given them direct payments, and we've bailed out big business and corporations, but we've always frowned at giving direct cash to those who need it most, who will spend it in their local communities. When we saw direct money coming during COVID, local economies boosted immediately because, again, cash is the currency of urgency, and they went and they infused that money right back into their local economies. And so this is money that's coming from the state that will be infused directly into communities and will come back up to the state through taxes and sales taxes, and it will be a good continuous cycle of positive and not negative. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Howard. Another example of how wisdom and lived experience can inspire someone to do great things, and you're doing amazing things in Mount Vernon. Keep up the great work. I want to thank everyone who came out today and all the speakers. It's an honor to have you here to share about this great program, and we're so looking forward to the success that it will have in the community. And at this time, I'm going to bring up, once again, Acting Commissioner Gohagan-Pratt to close us out.
Vince Leonard. We're gonna throw deputy in there just so we don't get in any trouble. Yes, so I just want to echo what has been said. Thank you, everyone that has been a part of this. Thank you, everyone who has shared your words. And I think collectively, everything that has said has just really lifted up the reason why we're doing this. And I hope that as everyone is sitting here, that it really resonates that this is not about a handout, but this is about truly looking at what has been systemic challenges for families. We're talking about historical racism, systemic racism, we're talking about poverty, we're talking about trauma. And we're talking about how do we effectively address these as we go forward. And so I really hope that that resonated in regards to all that has been shared today, and really would advocate and encourage that collectively that we are all a part of this, because at the end of the day, we truly all are a part of this, whether or not we're the ones that are receiving assistance or we're advocating for it. Collectively, we all have a part to play in this. I just want to lift up some words from James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Thank you for being here.